Hello, ladies. Welcome to the January program. So in real time, it is just like a few days before Christmas. So it's very exciting, very busy. If you're watching this, Happy New Year. We're already in the new year. So that's just crazy. The year flew by. So if you're new here, these are the demo videos. This is where you're going to see everything you need to know about the workouts. So every single day has its own video. And then in each video, I break down the workout, the structure of it, and then every single exercise, I show the form, I show substitutions, modifications for any fitness level. All of that stuff is gonna be in every single video, okay? So we are on Monday the 2nd. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say what the exercises are. I'm going to do a short demonstration of those exercises, and then I'm going to do a full, in-depth explanation of every exercise. So if you are familiar with something, you've been with me before, you've done it or seen it before, you can probably just watch the very beginning where I do each one very quickly and you'll be like, oh, yep, I know what that is. If you have no idea, you're a beginner, you've never done this, or you've never done my program before, then you're gonna wanna watch all of the in-depth explanation. I always encourage people, if you do know one thing but you don't know another thing, feel free to drag through. These are all on YouTube, and just kind of try to stop it where you're like, okay, this is what I need to watch. I don't want people feeling like they're wasting their time, but these videos are lengthy and they are very, very detailed, because we are all working out on our own time. So not everybody is doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Everybody's working out when it works best for them. None of these are follow along, and there are no live. So these are just instructional and informational videos. So you have to have all the information. Unfortunately, that means some of them are long. Luckily, as we go on, they tend to get shorter. So again, if you know something and you don't think you need an explanation, just skip on through, okay? So Monday the 2nd, we start with lower body. We have 2 parts. I know we have 2 parts because there is a star and an underline twice. Once under 4, 5, or 6 rounds, and once under squat jacks. So that means those are 2 parts, and you're going to do them totally separately. You're always going to finish part 1 before moving on to part 2. So we have scissor lunges, weighted lateral lunges, elevated bridges, weighted sumo pulses, and then we have squat jacks in our part 2. So our scissor lunge, back, front, 1, back, front, 2, back, front, 3, and then switch sides. Weighted lateral lunges. Or you can do just one, or you can do no weight. And switch sides. Elevated bridges. I'm gonna drag my chair into the frame. Your feet are up. Okay. Weighted sumo pulses. And squat jacks for part 2. So with this one, you have 4 reps. So we are going to count out 1, in, 2, out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So part 1, 4, 5, or 6 rounds. That is your choice. So you're going to pick 4, 5, or 6, okay? We're all doing 10 scissor lunges. Parentheses per means per side. So in this case, it's per leg. 12 weighted lateral lunges per leg. 14 elevated bridges, and 20 weighted sumo pulses, okay? So the number in front of the exercise is your number of reps. That's how many times you're doing the exercise. The number that you pick out of 4, 5, or 6 is your number of rounds. That's how many times you're gonna repeat all of those 4 exercises, okay? So we have scissor lunges. So our scissor lunge is just combining our front and our reverse or front and back lunge. So to talk about our lunges first, whenever you step back or forward, you always want to make sure you can see both feet. So if I'm doing a forward lunge, I don't want to step in the same path as this foot. I want to step in its own path. So we call that railroad instead of tightrope. So whether I'm going forward or backward, I always want to see both feet. My knees, my hips, and my shoulders are always gonna stay forward, okay? So nothing turns, everything stays exactly the same. All I'm doing is I'm moving my foot. For the lunge, you're just gonna drop down. Basically, both knees are gonna be at 90-degree angles. So I'm gonna step forward, see my foot, everything's pointing forward, and I'm gonna drop down, okay? Same thing if I reverse. So to notice, my knees are not caving in, my toes are not pointing in weird directions. I try to keep everything pointing forward and just drop it down, okay? Once you drop down, now you're gonna push off. So you kind of push off your toe this way, or if you're here, you're gonna push off and kind of lift forward, all right? So that's your front and your reverse lunge. Now, with the scissor lunge, you're gonna combine them together to get 1 rep. So what that looks like is, I always like to start backward, but it doesn't matter which way you start. Back, front, 1, back, front, 2, back, front, 3. Now, if you are good at lunges, you're not a beginner, and you have the strength to do so, you can skip the middle step and go straight through 1, back through 2, okay? So instead of stopping in the middle, I just carry my foot all the way to my front lunge, forward lunge position, okay? So that's your other option. They're all the same. One of them is just a little bit more advanced than the other, okay? And then you're going to switch sides. So notice when I am on the side profile, whether I go backward or forward, about 90-degree, everything's pointed forward, and my shoulders and my back stay up. I never hunch into my lunge. I never want to go like this, down toward my knee, whichever way I'm going, okay? I always want to try to keep my shoulders upright, everything facing the same, and so forth, okay? If lunges for some reason bother your knee, like me, I fell on this knee and now it pops. That's why I do this in a lot of my videos. I feel like I have to press on it and extend it, and it pops, it feels better. Usually I can do them. If you cannot do the lunges, and this goes for anything in leg day, or it might be a full body day or a HIIT day where we're doing a lot of leg stuff, go to my resource video, which is on the top of our page, in our group page. On the top, there's featured, or they're called pinned sometimes, videos, and it's called resource videos. So that's where you're gonna have your warm up, your cool down, a couple other videos, and then you're also gonna have a bad knee, like can't bend, I forget honestly what it's called at this point, but you'll see it, and it's a video of all exercises that you can do if you have issues with your knees, if you have issues bending, or if you have issues jumping. So if you have any of those problems, you're gonna wanna watch that video probably before you watch any of these other ones, and go ahead and pick out a couple that you can do, or that feel good, whatever it is, and have them on hand, because you're gonna have to substitute them every time we have leg day. Or if we have a full body day and we do something that includes legs, you're gonna have to have a substitution. So this move right here might be a big one that you cannot do at all. So you're gonna go to resources, go to bad knee, leg subs, whatever, video, and you're going to watch those. A lot of them are straight leg motions, a lot of them are very slightly bent motions, things where you don't need to put a lot of pressure on your knees, okay? So you're gonna wanna watch that video if you have those issues. Next we have weighted lateral lunges. So a lateral lunge is a side lunge. So when I say side lunge, I don't mean turning to my side. My weight shifts to the side, okay? So I'm not physically turning, I'm just shifting to the side. So I'm gonna start with my feet together, I'm gonna take a big step to the side, and I'm gonna start to shift my weight to the side. So as I shift my weight, everything's gonna drop, okay? So I'm gonna bend this knee, whatever side I stepped to, I'm gonna bend that knee, and I'm gonna let everything drop, okay? So if you do it, you're gonna notice that all the weight is now on this one leg. I have no weight bearing on this foot, okay? So drop all your weight, and you're gonna sink down almost as if you're doing a squat. So this is what it looks like from the side. it looks like I'm squatting. You can't see this straight leg, so it looks like I'm doing a squat, doesn't it? So that's what it should look like, and that's what it should feel like. Step to the side and let everything drop to the side, okay? Step to the side, let everything drop, press back up. Drop to the side, press back up. This leg stays straight, this leg bends. All my weight goes to this leg, press back up, okay? So if you've never done them or you're just not that strong, you might wanna keep doing it that way without the weight. Now, with weighted, there's a couple of ways you can hold the weight. You can hold a dumbbell in each hand, and when you go to the side, you're just gonna kind of go on either side of your leg. You can do one weight in the opposite hand of your bent knee. This is probably my favorite. And I just kind of gently reach down. I make sure I don't hunch when I reach, but I just kind of let my arm go to the side. This is probably my favorite style of doing a weighted one. You can also hold one dumbbell the long way, and this is a nice option too, okay? So that's the ways you can add the weight, but you do not have to do it with weight at all. And of course, you're gonna switch sides. Elevated bridges. So this is a bridge with your feet elevated. Most of us have probably done or seen regular bridges before. This just makes it more difficult because when you hire your feet, your lower point, up off the ground, it's gonna make for a greater range of motion, okay? So this is gonna be more difficult than a regular bridge. So your regular bridge is here. Your elevated means that your feet are up. So if you find this to be too difficult, drop down to a regular bridge. So with this, you're gonna have your, I usually put like my arches, my mid sneaker on the edge of the chair, okay? Now I'm not gonna get too crazy because my chair is actually not against the wall, so I don't want it to slip out from under me. But whenever you're doing this, make sure that your height or your chair or whatever you're using cannot slip or slide, okay? So midfoot on, and you're just going to lift your hips and squeeze your butt, okay? Lift as high as you can, squeeze as hard as you can, return back down. 1, lift and squeeze, return 2, lift and squeeze, return 3. So when you do those, you might be surprised that you're gonna feel it a lot in your lower back. That is totally normal. As long as it's not painful or that it's not really like a shooting pain, it's totally fine, because when you do the regular bridges, you do use your lower back along with your butt muscles, but when it's elevated, because you're getting more of a range of motion, it's actually including more of your lower back. So like I said, don't be surprised if you feel it there and in your butt or and your hamstrings, because it is working all of those muscles, okay? And then lastly, for our rounds, part 1, we have weighted sumo pulses. So a sumo squat is a variation of a regular squat. So most of us have done regular squats. Your feet look something like this. You squat down, okay? Now there's multiple ways that you can change that squat based off of your leg and feet positioning. So sumo is just a different variation. Sumo is usually slightly wider or much wider, depending on what's comfortable for you, stance than a regular squat, and our feet are going to be turned out, okay? So you might do regular squats and you might slightly turn out your toes. This is a noticeable turnout, okay? So some people, depending on probably how tall you are, how long your legs are, might find it more comfortable to be wider. Some people might find it comfortable to be a little bit closer together. But no matter where it is, it's slightly wider or much wider than normal stance, and your feet are noticeably turned outward, your toes, okay? And then you're gonna squat down. So you'll notice that when you do this, you're making kind of like a plie, okay? If you've ever done dance, that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're kind of doing this really wide drop down, which you are, and it's gonna transfer the strain to the inside of your legs, okay? That is the point of the sumo squat. When you do a regular squat, it kind of hits the top. When you flip out like this, it's now gonna target your inner thigh. So that's where you should feel the pull and the burn on your inner thigh. So because we are doing pulses, I believe, right? Yes, because we're doing pulses, that means that we're not gonna do a full squat and stand. We're gonna stay low and we're gonna pulse. So we get low and then we bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to our number, okay? So this is what it looks like from the side. We're gonna get low, and then we're gonna bounce. 1, 2, 3. So notice how low I am. I'm never standing. Notice my back is fairly straight. With the sumo, it's hard because your legs are so wide. So I am more forward than I would be probably with a regular squat, but I'm still keeping my back straight. It's not hunching over like this, okay? It's straight, it's just not up here. It's a little bit tilted forward, that's fine. So you're gonna do your pulses like that. Now again, you can do it with no weight. You can add a weight. When I like to do weighted sumos, I like to add my weight holding it the long way, like this. And I like to put it between my legs, just like this. This is how I usually hold it. I find it the easiest, okay? But again, you can also do it with no weight. Now, once you finish those rounds, you're gonna move on to part 2. So our part 2 is squat jacks 4 reps. So what that means is, in the first part, we did it 4 rounds, right? You picked 4, 5, or 6 rounds. In part 2, we're doing it 4 reps. So 4 reps means you're doing whatever it is exercise until you hit the number of reps that you pick. So if you pick 100 reps, you're going to do squat jacks until you get to 100 reps. So you can rest or stop however many times that you need to. You're just not done until you hit 100, okay? So it's not expected that you do them all the way through. If you do, you need to do more, okay? So usually when you do something 4 reps, it's meant to exhaust your muscles, okay? So the way that I like to do 4 reps is I like to start off with as many as I can. So if I'm gonna pick 100, I might get to 50. Then I'm gonna have to take a rest. Then I might be able to do 20 more, then take a rest, then 20 more, and then 10 more. Something along those lines. That's how I like to do it, because then I know that I am using my muscles up to the max. The way that my number starts high and then drops lower and then drops lower, that is showing the exhaustion of my muscles. So that is how I like to do it. Some people, especially if you're a beginner, they look at it, they panic, they think that's such a high number, and they immediately want to break it down evenly. You can do that. It's just not the most effective way. So if you're somebody who picks 60 and you're immediately like, I have to do 20, 20, 20, that's fine. But what the other way of doing it, as I just explained, is that it just causes more fatigue and exhaustion, which builds more muscle. That is the main difference, okay? So our squat jack is a variation of a jumping squat. So again, if you cannot jump, you have bad knees, you need to look at that resource video pinned to the top of the page and pick something else that you can do, okay? So a squat jack looks like this. In, out, in, out. This is what it looks like from the side. Well, okay, you can start outward, it doesn't matter, okay? So your legs are just moving in and out, but notice that I'm not standing up in between, okay? So when my legs come together, I'm still down here. So I'm basically staying low and I'm just jumping my legs in and out. So again, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all right? So as you can guess, that's gonna get pretty tiring. So even if you do try and break it down evenly, it might not work out that way anyway. But so that is your Monday the 2nd, and Happy New Year.